You are here because you have been pushed to your emotional limit. You tried to fix things. You tried to love harder. You tried to understand more, speak softer, stay patient, and show up in every way you could. Yet nothing changed. The pain stayed the same. The confusion stayed the same. The exhaustion kept growing. And at some point, you realized something important. The problem was never your lack of effort. The problem was the kind of person you were dealing with. This video speaks directly to that moment of clarity. It speaks to the part of you that knows you deserve peace, but still struggles to let go of old expectations. Expectations that once gave you hope, but now only hold you back. Because when someone is deeply narcissistic, especially a narcissistic woman who knows how to use charm, softness, or controlled vulnerability to stay in your life, your expectations become the exact tool that keeps you trapped. The purpose of this video is simple: to help you release those expectations, to help you stop waiting for things that will never come from a narcissistic woman, to help you understand why letting go of these hopes is not giving up. It is choosing your happiness. It is choosing your emotional safety. It is choosing your self-respect. Stop expecting her to change. A narcissistic woman does not change because someone else wants her to. She does not change because she hurt you. She does not change because the relationship is breaking. She does not change because of your love, your patience, or your loyalty. Change requires self-awareness, responsibility, and empathy. These qualities are exactly what she struggles with the most. You may have spent months or even years hoping she would grow. Maybe you hoped she would treat you better when things calmed down. Maybe you believed that if you communicated clearly, she would finally understand your needs. Maybe you trusted that once she saw your loyalty, she would value you more. But every time you hoped, the same pattern repeated. A small improvement, followed by the same old behavior. This cycle was not an accident. Narcissistic behavior is not random. It is consistent. It is predictable. It is built around her need to stay in control. As long as the relationship gives her attention, validation, or emotional power, she has no reason to change. Change would mean losing control. Change would mean acknowledging responsibility. Change would mean seeing your feelings as important. None of these align with her inner world. When you stop expecting her to change, you remove the emotional hook she used to keep you close. You stop waiting for a moment that will never arrive. You stop thinking the next conversation will fix it. You stop believing the next conflict will be different. You gain back energy that was drained by constant disappointment. Letting go of this expectation is not the same as giving up on love. It is choosing reality over fantasy. It is seeing the relationship for what it truly is, not what you hoped it would become. It is accepting that her change is not your responsibility and never was. This frees you from emotional dependency. It frees you from guilt, and it frees you from the pressure to be enough, to inspire transformation. When you stop expecting her to change, something powerful happens. You start changing instead. You grow stronger. You become clearer. You start healing. And you finally understand that the future you wanted cannot exist with someone who refuses to evolve. Stop expecting her to admit she was wrong. A narcissistic woman avoids accountability at all costs. To her, admitting fault feels like losing control. It feels like weakness. It feels like handing you emotional power. So even when she knows she made a mistake, she will twist the situation until it becomes your fault. She will argue, deflect, or attack until you start doubting your own memory. You might remember times when you brought up something that hurt you. Instead of listening, she shifted the focus. Instead of understanding, she became defensive. Instead of apologizing, she blamed your tone, your timing, your emotions, or your reaction. She might even accuse you of starting the problem or exaggerating the issue. This pattern creates deep emotional confusion. You begin to think you are overreacting. You start apologizing for things you did not do. You lower your expectations to avoid conflict. Over time, you lose trust in your own perception. That is exactly how narcissistic dynamics operate. Her refusal to admit fault keeps you disoriented. When you accept that she will not take responsibility, you take back control of your emotional world. You stop waiting for the apology that will never arrive. You stop hoping for validation from someone who refuses to give it. You stop reopening old wounds, hoping she will finally see the truth. Releasing this expectation protects your self-esteem. It protects your mental health. It protects your sense of reality. Most importantly, it prevents you from becoming trapped in her cycle of denial. When accountability is missing, the relationship cannot be equal. When apologies never come, trust cannot grow. When responsibility is avoided, problems repeat endlessly. So once you stop expecting her to admit her wrongs, you start seeing clearly. And clarity is the first step toward emotional freedom. Stop expecting her to care about your feelings. Empathy is the foundation of emotional connection. But with a narcissistic woman, empathy is often selective, conditional, or used as a tool. She may understand your feelings on a logical level, but she does not prioritize them. She does not adjust her behavior based on your emotional needs. Your feelings are acknowledged only when doing so benefits her. You may have tried explaining your pain. You may have tried opening up and being vulnerable. You may have shared your fears, your hopes, and your needs. She listened when it helped her maintain the relationship. But the moment your feelings required effort from her, she became distant or irritated. Over time, you learn to suppress your emotions to keep the relationship steady. You held back tears. You avoided sensitive topics. You minimized your needs. This emotional shrinking is one of the clearest signs that your feelings were never safe in the relationship. When you stop expecting her to care, you protect yourself from further disappointment. You stop trying to earn basic compassion. You stop putting your heart in the hands of someone who treats your emotions as an inconvenience. You begin to reclaim your voice, your boundaries, and your dignity. Letting go of this expectation does not make you cold. It makes you aware. It reminds you that genuine emotional connection requires mutual respect. If your feelings were consistently dismissed, ignored, or weaponized, the issue was not your sensitivity. The issue was her lack of emotional responsibility. Releasing this expectation gives you room to reconnect with your own inner world. You become more honest with yourself. You start caring about your emotions in ways she never could. And that is the beginning of real healing. Stop expecting consistency. Consistency is one of the most important elements of emotional safety. When someone is steady, predictable, and emotionally stable, you feel safe. You feel connected. You feel grounded. But a narcissistic woman often operates in emotional extremes. She can be warm one moment and cold the next. She can give attention intensely one day and withdraw completely the day after. These shifts are not random. They are tied to her emotional needs, her stress, or her desire for control. You may remember days when everything felt perfect. She acted caring, supportive, and connected. In those moments, your hope grew. You believed the relationship was finally heading in the right direction. But soon after, she pulled away, became distant, or acted irritated without explanation. These sudden changes confused you. They made you feel responsible for her moods. They created anxiety because you never knew what version of her you were going to get. This inconsistency kept you emotionally hooked. Each good moment made you believe more goodness was possible. Each bad moment made you work harder to get back to the good one. This cycle pulls you deeper into emotional dependency. When you stop expecting consistency, you stop blaming yourself for her unstable behavior. You stop trying to fix emotional swings you did not cause. You stop waiting for predictable love from someone who does not offer it. Instead, you see the instability as part of the dynamic, not a reflection of your worth. Releasing this expectation gives you relief. It removes the pressure of constantly adjusting yourself to keep the peace. You no longer twist your personality, your behavior, or your needs to match her unpredictable emotional world. You begin to understand the deeper truth. Stability cannot exist in a relationship where one person is emotionally chaotic. Consistency requires responsibility, awareness, and empathy. When these qualities are missing, emotional safety cannot be built. So once you stop expecting stable patterns from her, you stop feeling disappointed, and you start building a stable emotional life for yourself instead. Stop expecting the relationship to be healthy. Long-term, a healthy relationship requires two people who respect boundaries, communicate honestly, and treat each other with care. But when one person is narcissistic, the relationship becomes imbalanced from the beginning. You give more, you adjust more, you sacrifice more, and the relationship becomes something you maintain through emotional effort, while she maintains it through control. You may have imagined a future where she becomes more supportive, more loving, or more stable. You may have pictured a life where the pain fades and the good moments become the norm. But when you are in a relationship with a narcissistic woman, the dynamic rarely improves with time. The relationship tends to become more draining, more demanding, and more confusing. The longer you stay, the more you lose your identity. You become someone who avoids conflict, minimizes personal needs, and sacrifices emotional well-being for the sake of harmony. This is not a healthy relationship. This is survival mode. When you stop expecting the relationship to be healthy long-term, you break the illusion that kept you stuck. You stop believing that more effort will finally fix things. You stop investing in a future that does not exist. You stop carrying the emotional weight of a relationship that never felt equal. This shift brings clarity. You start evaluating the relationship based on reality, not hope. You begin to see how much energy you spent maintaining something that was always unbalanced, and you regain the emotional strength needed to prioritize your own well-being. Stop expecting her to recognize your effort. You gave a lot. You invested time, energy, love, patience, and emotional support. You showed understanding even when you were hurting. You stayed when many people would have walked away. But a narcissistic woman rarely sees or acknowledges these efforts. In her mind, your support is something she deserves automatically. It is not viewed as love, it is viewed as obligation. Because of this mindset, your sacrifices go unnoticed. Your loyalty becomes invisible. Your patience is taken for granted. And when you expect recognition, you feel disappointed over and over again. You may have hoped she would someday understand how much you tried. You may have hoped she would appreciate the late-night conversations, the emotional support, the compromises, or the moments when you put her needs above your own. But recognition requires empathy. It requires someone who can see beyond themselves. And that is where narcissistic traits create a barrier. When you stop expecting appreciation, you protect your heart from constant hurt. You stop working for validation that will never come. You stop measuring your value based on her reactions. Instead, you start valuing your own effort without needing her approval. This shift is powerful because it brings your self-worth back to you. It helps you see that your kindness was not wasted. It helps you honor the version of yourself that tried with good intentions, and it helps you understand that her lack of recognition was not a reflection of your value. It was a reflection of her limitations. Stop expecting fairness. Fairness is a basic expectation in any healthy connection. When two people respect each other, they treat each other in balanced and reasonable ways. But a narcissistic woman does not operate from fairness. She operates from self-interest. Rules change when they benefit her. Standards shift depending on her needs. Situations are interpreted in ways that protect her image and maintain control. You may have expected fair treatment. You may have believed that mutual respect would guide the relationship. But what you experienced was the opposite. You were held to strict expectations while she kept complete freedom. Your mistakes were amplified while hers were minimized. Your needs were seen as demands while her needs were treated as priorities. These imbalances were not accidents. They were part of the dynamic that kept her in control. And when you expected fairness, you opened the door to constant frustration. When you stop expecting fairness, you stop being surprised by manipulative behavior. You stop feeling confused by double standards. You stop giving emotional energy to situations designed to keep you off balance. You begin to see the system clearly. The relationship was never meant to be equal. Letting go of this expectation helps you rebuild your confidence. You learn that your desire for fairness was not the issue. The issue was giving that expectation to someone who does not value balance or mutual respect. And once you accept that truth, you start creating a life where fairness is the standard, not the exception. A direct warning for anyone still emotionally attached. If you still feel emotionally attached to a narcissistic woman, your attachment does not make you weak. It makes you human. You connected with someone who knew how to create intensity, excitement, and emotional depth in ways that felt real in the moment. Narcissistic women can be charismatic, confident, and emotionally powerful. The connection can feel addictive because the highs are intense, but the lows are painful, confusing, and draining. This part is a warning because emotional attachment to a narcissistic woman can pull you back into a cycle that damages your well-being. You may believe she has changed. You may think she misses you. You may hope that the connection you felt before can be rebuilt. But the behaviors you experienced are patterns, not isolated moments. Once the relationship becomes unstable, the instability does not fade. It grows. This warning is not meant to scare you. It is meant to protect you. Because many people return to a narcissistic partner hoping things will be different. But returning often leads to deeper emotional damage. The patterns repeat. The pain increases, and the relationship becomes harder to leave the next time. The warning is simple. Protect your future self from repeating your past. Protect your emotional health from being drained again. Protect your confidence from being questioned again. Protect your sense of reality from being twisted again. You deserve a connection based on safety, not fear. You deserve a relationship built on respect, not control. You deserve peace, not emotional chaos. When you accept this truth, your heart becomes stronger and your life becomes clearer. A soft, strong closing. You reach this point because something inside you is ready for change. You stopped ignoring the signs. You stopped minimizing your pain. You stopped hoping for something that never arrived. And by listening to this video, you gave yourself a moment of truth, a moment where you finally place your emotional well-being above old patterns and old expectations. Letting go of expectations is not giving up. It is choosing yourself. It is choosing a future where you breathe without fear. It is choosing emotional peace over emotional chaos. The relationship with a narcissistic woman took strength from you, but now you are taking that strength back. You are reconnecting with your intuition. You are rebuilding trust in your own perception. You are learning that love should not hurt this way. You deserve steady connection. You deserve a partner who values your feelings. You deserve someone who treats you with respect, care, and honesty. By releasing expectations that were never met, you open the door to new emotional freedom. You create room for healthier connections. You become someone who understands your worth deeply instead of waiting for someone else to validate it. This journey will take time, but you are already moving forward. You are learning, you are processing, you are healing, and you are becoming stronger than you were before. Every step matters, no matter how small it feels. Keep going. Keep choosing your well-being. Keep honoring your emotional truth. You are not alone in this. You are supported, understood, and stronger than you realize. And as always, because YouTube's algorithm tends to favor videos with strong engagement, if you feel this video has brought you value, a simple like and a quick subscribe would mean so much. It not only helps this message reach more people who need it, but also ensures you will never miss the next video that could make a difference in your journey. Thanks all.